Recording. Perfect. We're recording. Let me start this slideshow. Perfect. Started. And now I need to share the screen. And this is the slideshows. Can you see the slides that I have?
Yes, I
Okay,
can.
perfect. Okay, perfect. So basic overview, like I mentioned, for this class is going to be, and the reason why we have only one class this week is exactly because of this, that one, we are going to complete the UPR portion of the chapter 15, right? And with that, chapter 15 gets completed, and one big, I would not say a big chunk, but a fairly big chunk will get completed, right? We'll then solve questions. And these questions, like I mentioned, based on prior year question papers, on a lot of questions that I saw online. So a lot of different sources are there, and I think it'll be enjoyable, right? So UPR, let's dive right into UPR. You must obviously know what UPR is. So please start off
Yes.
giving me a fairly good understanding of what UPR is.
So UPR is that part of premium which is yet to be exposed.
Good.
Let's
Let's
if a
say that,
policy,
let's say I take a policy for 1,200 rupees on the 1st of January.
right.
What will the UPR be as at 31st March?
So it would be 900 rupees.
Perfect. You have a good understanding of what UPR is, right?
So just a question here. So here, do they expect approximate calculation like I did 900 rupees, or do they expect exact calculation by number of days?
The 900 rupees was not an approximate calculation. The 900 rupees was an exact calculation. The 900 rupee answer that you said is an exact calculation. It's not an approximate calculation.
So if we take number of days as the base, then I think it would be slightly different, right?
I mean, no, it would not be, right? How will it be different? There are only
So
three.
For this case, yes. So for this case, yes.
For this case,
but
yeah.
there could be cases.
I'm specific about this case. You did not make an approximate answer. You gave an exact answer.
No, agreed.
Right.
Yes.
So okay. The answer to your first question is it depends. Right? It depends on a lot of factors. The first factor being time. You have to always account for, like I mentioned, right? Practicality versus materiality. Right? Do you want to give an extremely accurate answer that is going to take you 20 minutes to solve? Or do you want to give a good approximation, which is within maybe say 0.1 standard deviations within the answer, which will only take 10 minutes to solve? That's the answer, right? That's a call.
But do we still score the full marks?
I think you should score full. If not full, you should score a majority of the mark, right? If they specifically say you have to give an exact calculation of UPR using the 365th method, and then you use the halves method or the 8th method, you will not get marks, obviously. But then if they don't make any such statements, you can make
then we can assume.
Assume that I'm using the 365th method or the 24th method, and then you can make the calculations. In many cases, that assumption, at least for these kind of calculations, UPR calculations, that assumption need not be stated, that the methodology need not be stated online, like explicitly. Although it is good that it's stated. If you state it, it's good, but more often than not, you're time crunched in the exam, right? So you take a call in the middle of the paper and you don't have time to fill it. People understand that, right? The examiners are very understanding of that constraint students have. So they give a lot of leeway, right? So the question again is materiality and practicality. That's all. You have to be practical in the exam. You can't be, okay, I will be this detailed and I will give out the exact answer to the 4th decimal place. You can do that. Nothing stopping you from doing that, but you'll not finish the paper. That's the logic. Right. So that's a good segue because it gives us to our next point, which is how do you calculate UPR? Multiple methods are there. Method that you first said is the 365th method, where you look at the number of exposed days, subtract 365, from the number of subtract exposed days from 365 and then divided by 365 to get the unexposed period. Then multiplied with the premium, you get the UPR, right? That's the 365 method. There's a 24th method where you split, you assume that policies are written evenly, so you split, and what happens is 1/24 and 1/24 gets earned towards the end of the beginning and the end of the period, and then it earns over
1 by 12 the rest, yes.
exactly. It earns over 12 months, right? Then there's the 8th method, and then there's a half method. The half method is mostly used in accounting. So when we come to the accounting chapter, you almost always use the half method, right? Because you are looking at annual policies and you're looking at annual accounts. So you'll do the half, right? Where you split this thing across 2 years. Right? It's much easier that way, right? So, so now the question here is a differentiation between URR and UPR, right? So a lot of students have this doubt. What is URR and what is UPR? So UPR greater than URR is what we hope to achieve, right? What does that mean? It means that if my UPR is greater than my URR, it means that my future risk, unexpired risk, is profitable for me as a business.
Exactly. Correct.
Right? That is what you hope to achieve. That is what everybody hopes to achieve, right? Now, in a scenario, and this is very true in the Indian context as well, it's very true in the global context as well. More often than not, UPR is made to be equal to URR.
Correct.
Right? And the reason for that is you want to be prudent.
Prudent, yes.
Right? You don't want to be aggressive and set a reserve which is much less than what you currently expect to receive. And you can always release the excess into your profit pool at a later point in time, right? But if you release it into the profit pool, you cannot get back that profit pool, that money when you want it, right? And it becomes like an AURR question at a later point. So people generally set UPR to be equal to URR, right? And in very rare cases, UPR might be less than URR, or flipped, URR might be greater than UPR, which basically means that your future business, your unexpired business, is loss making for you, right? And that excess is called AUR, additional unexpired risk, right? Now, there are a couple of assumptions that you make when you deal with UPR, right? And these are the most common assumptions, although they could change a little bit, right? And this is something that you need to be very cognizant of. These assumptions you have to mug and wrote, right? In the sense that very important assumptions. The assumptions behind UPR are that policies are written evenly, policies are earned evenly, and policies are annual, right? Now, when you make this and then you use the 365th method, the 24th method, 8th method, it splits over a year. But if there are,
in case there is a change in duration, then this formula needs tweaking a bit.
Yeah, the formula has to be tweaked. So you have to play it by the year at that point, right? I tried finding. I think there is couple of IAI question papers where the duration was off, longer term durations, but I didn't have enough time to incorporate it. But let me see if I can kind of fish it out and send it across separately, right? But this is the logic, right? So you have to be ready for having that. Okay.
Sure.
Let's get to our first question that is there. So please take a look at it. It's a fairly simple question, right? The question here is you have to calculate the UPR at the end of the year being 31st December.
Okay.
Right? So we've taken a annual premium of $1,200, right? I've given you parameters for how the risk is going to vary over the year. So remember, the second criteria assumption is already broken here, right? The risk is not evenly earned here.
Oh, okay. Mhm. So the answer is 800.
Close, but not close enough. How did you get 800?
So the first assumption, so I have used 1 by 24 methods.
Okay.
So that is one thing. So what I've done is, the weights, I've put some weights for each month of exposure.
Okay.
So first 4 months, as the first statement says, that the risk is twice as that of the next 4 months.
Okay.
So my weights for first 4 months will be twice to the weights of fifth to eighth month.
Good.
And based on second sentence, it says that the risk in the last 4 months is thrice then the risk for months 3 to 6. So my total weight for months 3 to 6 would be 6, because
Right.
for 3 and 4 it will be twice, and for fifth and sixth it would be 1. So the total weight for last 4 months would be 18, which would be distributed evenly.
Your logic, your overall approach is right. The only place where you went wrong is to make the first assumption in the first place, right?
Okay.
So why do you make that 124th assumption? You make that 124th assumption because you are writing policies evenly, right? And when you write policies evenly, on average, you assume that you write a policy in the middle of the month, correct?
Okay.
So when you write a policy in the middle of the month, you are earning only 0.5. Like if you earn, like, say, one exposure, and if you earn 12 exposures in a year, for example, right? I'm just giving one hypothetical number over here, right? Let's assume that exposure is a unit, right? And you earn 12 exposures in a year. In the first month, if you write policies evenly, you would have only earned 0.5 exposure units, correct? Because you are writing it in the middle of the month. However, this question deals with only one single policy. So you don't need to
Agreed.
make that assumption.
No, so I have adjusted for that, so that 1 by 24 becomes now 1 by 12.
You don't need to, right? That's the thing. You
Okay.
don't need to do that at all. So the answer is actually way simpler, right? And this is very, right? So here is the timeline that you spoke of, right? Which is the right way to
Right.
go about it. All you need to do is
Right.
you need to look at the third point where risk is evenly split between 0 and 4, and then risk is evenly split between 5 and whatever, right? So there are the
Right.
evenly across 4 months, which means that I can create a metric called X, Y, and Z. And I can say that for the first 4 months, the risk parameter is X, 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 and then Y, and then Z, 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 Z. Right? So 4X plus 4Y plus 4Z should be equal to $1,200.
Right.
That's equation number 1. Right? Now I know that 4X should be equal to 2 into 4Y. Or X should be equal to 2Y. And similarly, I can get a relationship between Z and Y. And then just plug in this equation and get the value of Y. And now that I know the value of Y, I can get the value of X and value of Z. And the UPR at the end of the year, since the policy was taken on 1st July, August, September, October, November, December, 4, 5, 6 months. 6 months have passed, right? Which means that the UPR, it would have earned 4X plus 2Y, correct?
Right.
6 months have passed. This is the earning pattern of the policy. So you understand how the difference between the assumption and the earning patterns. Because that second assumption was gone, see, those assumptions they don't exist in a vacuum. That first assumption kind of sort of exists because of the second assumption, and vice versa. Because the second assumption is no longer there, you're dealing with only one policy, you can't make the first assumption. Is that clear somewhat?
Yes. No, so actually the only point I was trying to make is that I have given equal weightage to each month irrespective of the number of days in that month. So that was my intent.
If you've given equal weightage, then it should have been 800, no? Where did you go wrong?
So no, by weightage in the sense that for all months, I am considering same number of days. So I am not using 1 by 365th method here.
That is fine.
That is
here also you have split it by, I've split it by month only, right? It's not by...
No, so the only mistake I made was that I used 2 to 6 rather than 3 to 7. The gap.
Okay.
So that was the only.
Okay, that's fine. Then the
approach was the same,
Okay, good. No, then I misunderstood. I thought you did X by 2 and then Z by 2. That's why I thought. I thought your originally when you told me, I thought your calculation involved X by 2 and Z by 2. In the first.
Yes, so that not the first one, but the second sentence, that 3 times wala sentence for the last 4 months. What I did, I assumed 2 X's and 2 Y's. Rather than 1 X and 3 Y's.
Understood. And that changed your answer slightly different. That's why, 7.
That changed my answer. So, but rather than the mathematical approach, I use the visual approach.
No, I would rather, this is like a very good approach for you to understand things, right? So always draw timelines, always draw these visual graphs, because they help you understand much easier than just, analytically approaching it. Sometimes, if you are, if you are extremely analytical in nature, that you probably won't have a problem, but like I would say 95-96% of the population is not like that, right? So people prefer a visual when you're solving. I'm not saying the markers want to see something visual, but when you're solving the answer, you would prefer a visual approach to things, right? So better for you to draw it out and then chart it out, at least when you're learning. After you get like a good understanding of the topic, you might not want to chart out everything, right? Because sometimes you can mentally map it out. So if you can do that, if you come to that level, then you don't need to. But until you come to that level, this is a viable approach for you. And it saves time.
Can we go to the question again? Just wanted to double check that second sentence.
Sure.
So the risk in the last 4 months is 3 times higher than the risk in months 3 to 6 inclusive of the policy.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. So can we go back to your answer?
So the risk in the last 4 months, which is 4Z, is 3 times higher than the risks in month 3 to 6 inclusive, which is months 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7.
No, wouldn't it be starting with 2?
No.
Because it is month 3. Month 3 means after month 2, right?
No.
So months 3 to 6.
Yeah, months 3 to 6 inclusive. Not after 2. That is month.
No, so basically third month, fourth month, fifth month, and sixth month, right?
Third.
It means that way.
After three. No. This is after 3. So you have to start from X plus Y. It's not.
So
It's
then
not after month.
won't you end at seventh month then? So if you take X plus Y, the third Y is the end of 7th month.
X
So if you
plus,
count from the start,
just hold on. X plus Y. Let me go back. The risk
so
is
so basically the point where you have written 7.
No, but this is month 0. Right. So this is 0 to
No,
1.
so the point, so basically the point where you have written 1 in the timeline is the end of first month.
You're saying that you want this to be month 1, this to be month 2, this to be month 3. So you're saying that your 4Z should be equal to 3 into 2x plus 2y.
2y. Because the third X is the third month.
Fair enough. Could be a good
So
interpretation.
I did basis
It is
that
a viable
thing,
interpretation.
basically.
It is a viable interpretation. My interpretation was after month 3. So I went by the numerator. The numerator.
No, I chose after month 2 because they have written 3 to 6 inclusive. So when
That's
you
fine.
say 3 to 6 inclusive, so that is 4 months basically.
No, that is fine. It's a viable approach in my opinion. I don't think it's wrong.
Okay.
I don't think
Sure.
it's wrong. I think it's a fairly viable approach. I think you should get marks.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next question. So next question, I'll be frank. It's been taken from a past question paper, right?
Okay.
I think 98 or 99 or something like that. And it's been modified heavily, right? It is going to it's going to have a lot of extra details which you will not use because I didn't want to remove the details. It's going to have a lot of extra details that you will not use. But the idea is very simple. The idea is to calculate the UPR, right? And calculate the ultimate claims cost. So here is the next question, right? So I will first read the question.
Quite a complicated question.
It is. So very unlikely that you will get this kind of a question, right? And the question has been modified to only look for business written in January 99. The original question was calculate the UPR for business written from Jan 99 to June 99. So you had
Achha.
to iterate.
That was a complicated. Yeah, that is
You
interesting.
have to obtain the logic and then you have to iterate through the logic for 6 months. So that is a very, that is why like it could probably take like a good 40-50 minutes to solve that question, right? So better to just take one chunk of that. So remember that question. Remember the point that you have to only calculate the expected ultimate claim cost of the unexpired risks as at 30 June 1999 for the business written in January 99. So please understand that question very deeply.
Is the answer 4.37 million?
You're close, but not exactly there. But you're very close. So good try actually. So how did you get 4 point something million?
So the premium return for the month of January is 10 million, the GWP.
Correct.
Now, assuming that, I made a mistake here. So answer would be just a minute. Yeah. So assuming that the business is written in the middle of the month, so the total exposed duration for that business would be 5.5 months, and
Correct.
6.5 months is the remaining business. So the UPR as at that date would be around 5.42.
Correct.
So, so multiplying by the expected claim cost as at 31st December 1997 of 90%,
Okay.
after which we have got a premium increase of 6%, which will
Okay.
reduce my LR by 6%, so divide by 1.06.
Perfect.
And the monthly claim inflation is 0.5%, so I would multiply it by 1.005 raised to 6.
Raised to
6.
6. Okay. Good. Very good attempt. Very good attempt. You went wrong in the last part. Right?
Okay.
Everybody goes wrong in the last part. One of the important things that you have to remember is the line over there. In testing your adequacy of claims reserve as at 31st December 98, you determined an ultimate loss ratio for accident year 1997 at 90%.
Oh,
So accident year,
got it.
so which
Got
means,
it. Understood.
yeah.
So I need additional 6 months. I need additional
No,
6 months of.
no. It's not just additional 6 months, right? You have to understand here that the period of inflation is different over here, right? You have to understand from where to where are you going to inflate? Tell me. Now that you have accident year 1997, from where to where will you inflate the claims?
So since accident year is 1997, so on an average, my claims are lying in the middle of 1997, which is 30th June
Okay,
1997.
correct.
Now, since I am only considering the business written in January 1999,
Hmm.
January 1999, sorry. So the entire, so half of 1997, entire 1998,
Hmm.
and since the business is written here, the accident could lie approximately 6 months after the policy written. The claims would lie approximately, so 6.5 months additional.
Okay, so how many months is that total?
So total 18, 24 and a half.
So you have to now read the last part again once. Read the last part. The last paragraph. Read it all aloud.
So acquisition costs are last para. Claim plus inflation has been 0.5% per month for many years. Acquisition costs are 15% of GWP. Claims handling are 2.5% of outstanding claim amount. The present value of investment return is 10% of the outstanding claim amount. You may ignore reinsurance. Calculate the expected claim cost, ignoring expenses of the unexpired risk as at 30th June 1999 for the business written in January 1999 as at 30th June. So,
No, it's not as at 30th June. The key over here is unexpired risks as at 30th June. So your
right.
question here is you have to inflate from 1st July 1997. There is no question around that, right? However, you have to understand that as at uh, 30th June 1999, there will be 6.5 months of unexpired risk remaining. Correct?
Correct.
Mid period of that is what you have to explore to know, because claims are going to come middle of that unexpired risk period, because the question
Right.
asks
Understood.
of the unexpired risk, which means that is 3.25 months. So you have to go half of 97, full of 98, half of 99 plus 3.25 months. That comes to 27.25 months. So the logic becomes 10 million into UPR, which is 6.5 divided by 12, into 0.9 divided by 1.06, which you got on spot, into 1.005 power 27.25, which gives you 5 point something 3 million. Main assumption.
Understood.
And then you have to write the main assumptions, which is assume business is written evenly over the month, assume that risk is spread evenly over the policy year. And then you can also write policies are annual in nature, which again gives you a little bit of brownie points. Clear?
Right.
Interesting question.
Yes, yes, yeah, very interesting. But lots of unnecessary
Now
information here.
imagine if you get this question and then they ask you from Jan 1999. They ask you to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
UPR for from Jan to June. So nightmare.
Yeah, it's difficult.
I don't think they'll ask these kind of questions anymore. That period is over. In my opinion, I feel they're going forward, at least there will be a lot of focus on accounts rather than UPR and these calculations because of how IFRS 17 is impacting things. But I have been my hypothesis has been proven wrong before, because I, at least for SA3, I have been expecting an accounts question for the past, I don't know, 4 papers, but it has not shown up yet. So I'm just hoping I get right. I get proven right, because accounts is
This seems to be an IFOA question.
IFOA question. Yeah. Even this was an IFOA question. Yes. 98, I think, if I'm not mistaken. You can go and look at the very old papers. You will get these kind of questions, right? These kind of nightmarishly difficult questions.
But do they still ask such questions of
So
late?
it's not like they cannot ask. They can ask. However, what I'm seeing is that the format is changing. So it's no longer the same format as what it used to be, in my opinion. So
Oh,
before, it used to be like very numerical driven and things like that, right? Where there used to be like a focus on numericals. But now,
hmm.
because maybe because the paper's gone online, I'm seeing a lot more analysis questions. uh, I'm seeing that change in the trend, right? So you're asked more to analyze than to calculate. There are calculation questions in SP7. Don't get me wrong. You have to calculate. They'll be like calculate the ULR, calculate the ultimate, calculate the whatever, calculate this. But the marks that has been accorded to it has actually become lesser, in my opinion. The
Okay.
focus is more on comment, justify your answer, explain why this is, those kind of things. We are moving towards that.
Hmm.
But I don't
Right.
think it's going to rapidly move away from that. So you will still get calculate questions. Goes
Right.
with
But typing all these formulas and timelines would be
takes
very
practice.
time consuming. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it takes practice. It
it,
takes a lot of practice. You have to practice quite a bit. It's a challenge. I agree. All right. Next question.
because brackets and everything becomes really very
Yeah,
important
yeah,
while
yeah.
representing.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
I calculated correctly, but if I represent it wrong in the paper, then I may
You
lose
will not
marks.
get marks. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And you have to waste time writing it on paper. So that's why I would recommend you get hands-on with Excel, because you can easily copy the table directly, and then you can just write the logic that you use in,
Okay.
have you done CP2?
Yes, yes, yes. That's
So similar to how CP2 happens, right? Where you finish the model in Excel and then you copy paste the things in the Word file, and then you explain what you did, right? In similar, right? So I generally tend to do that, where my work, everything is in Excel, and then I have like an explanation as to how I achieved that work. And I think that's been working fine for me.
correct.
Cool. Next question. Next question. Very interesting question, in my opinion. This is more of analysis of results, diagnostics than anything else. And I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this. Like, just read through it. Let's go one by one, and let's then just look at how the answer is structured.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Gone through the question. Yeah.
okay. So what are the adjustments? So you've been given like a basic chain ladder with approach, right? And now you've been given scenarios that happen. So let's take one by one. Gradual movement towards older policyholder over the past 5 years. So what are the adjustments? What would you expect to see? And then what adjustments would you make in the triangles because of that?
Honestly, actually, I'm confused with the meaning of this sentence.
Okay.
Gradual movement towards older policyholders
Basically
for the last 5 years. So my book has
changing.
more renewal business than the new business.
No. Older policyholders. Older as in age.
Age-wise.
Age.
Okay. Okay. So I would have more experienced drivers
Okay.
in the recent years. So one adjustment is that I would give higher weightage to my recent patterns and experience than the older cohorts.
The
Uh,
I made.
so I may sorry.
No, go on. Finish your point.
And I don't need any other adjustments in data per se. I think I can only use the adjustment in the method.
What is the method adjustment?
Rather than using the blind chain ladder for all the years combined, I may use, let's say, only the past 3 years or 5 years patterns.
Okay. So I had.
So that would give more. That would give the weightage towards my recent trend of having more experienced drivers in my book.
It's a little scary because when I first got this question, right? When I first saw this question, I had the exact same answer that you had, and we both missed a very important point. We are talking about change in business mix, and we're talking about change in things like that, but we're not making an important thing. The question is there a change in the runoff pattern? Right? So that is the answer that you have to look at, right? Just because you move to older policyholders does not mean that your runoff patterns change.
May or may not change.
Yeah, and that is the most important thing, right? It may or may not change. So your answer should be nuanced around that fact, not the fact that you're older policyholder and you're changing your mix and things like that, which is exactly the answer that you gave and exactly the answer that I gave as well, right? So the answer here is depends, right? Depends on whether the runoff pattern changes. If the runoff pattern doesn't change, you don't need to do anything. No adjustments are required.
Yes, no adjustments are required. Exactly.
If runoff pattern does change, then you have to look at what adjustments you can do to account for the fact that you have older policyholders. Clear?
Right. So even if there is a change in the patterns, can we write that the change could be in both the directions? It could worsen as well. It could be better.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very fair answer. You can write both scenarios where runoff patterns are now faster or slower, right? So you have to make a valid case. And see, it depends on the number of marks as well, right? If this is being asked for 2 marks, you might not want to go into that level of depth.
Correct.
Make a
obviously depends on marks.
Use a little bit of common sense in the exam. Like for 2 marks, don't go into or if runoff patterns becomes better, if runoff patterns become worse, then you are right, you'll get full 2 marks, but then you could have spent the time that you think that you have taken to think and write the answer into some other question which has more weight, right? So you have to be judicious and take a call. It's a very difficult, I'll be frank, even I face that problem. It's a very difficult problem to solve, right? It's not very easy because in the exam, you will prefer to give more details than less details. right? You want to play,
Right.
you'll be prudent in the exam.
Safe, yeah.
You'll not
Yeah.
be you'll not be optimistic in the exam. Your basis is always prudent in the exam, which means you tend to give more details. The problem is the more details you
Right.
give, the time you're wasting. That's the only problem.
So that has been a problem historically with me, that in my exams, my initial few answers are always up to the mark, but because I then realize that I am very short of time, my
Uh,
next answers go haywire.
so you're basically spending a lot more time on your first
Then
question.
initially, so
So
that is where I need to
yeah,
correct myself.
so rule of thumb that you have to follow is you cannot spend more than 2 minutes per mark.
Per
So
month.
you have to enforce it very, very harshly in the first hour, right? Within the first
Hmm.
hour, you should always target to complete 30 minutes, 30 marks.
Yeah.
That should be a
That's
lot.
why maybe you said that you start with the easiest question you
Always,
feel you can answer without thinking, basically.
always. That is the best way to start. Look at the questions, scan the questions. There will always be one question, list this, list that. Always start with that. Easiest way for you to get rid of the cold start problem and like get some confidence going, right? So always start with that. No, nothing will like say there'll always be one random list this question, list that question, list this or describe. All these are all knowledge based questions, no? So these are all right from the textbook that you can pick up. So
Correct.
you can, rest assured you'll be very easy. It'll be, you can score marks there, and then you can go into the harder suggest questions and all those kind of things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. But yeah, always remember 30 marks within the first hour, and then, like 30 marks in the second hour, 30 marks in the third hour, and the last 10 marks should go in the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and then 5 minutes for, uh, you know, uh, looking at reviewing the paper, adding tags where you can. That's how it should be.
Hmm.
Okay.
Correct. Okay.
So, okay, let's go back. Second question. Strike by claims handler at the end of the year before last. What happens now?
So what would have happened is my claims reported would have been delayed, will show with a delay of 1 year, because we are using annual cohort.
But we
So
are not.
which is not the real pattern, which is not the real pattern. It is just because the handlers were on strike,
Ah,
and because it happened in a particular, let's say, month, while they have not mentioned. So that for in that month, the claims reporting would be for all the cohort up till that cohort, and not only that particular cohort. So my
no, but,
entire diagonal would show
but this is
lower reporting.
what cohort that you're looking at? What cohort are you looking at?
So the cohort is while the year. So this is
Accident,
accident cohort,
accident year. You
accident
have to be very
cohort.
clear
So
because
that's why my entire diagonal will. That's why my entire diagonal will get
which
impacted.
diagonal?
Uh, the the diagonal of the year in which the strike happened at the end of the year.
Which is that? Because the question they're very clear, right? End of the year before
Two
last.
years before the last. So not the current, not the previous, the year before that. So
Against
my
the last.
development in that year would be lower, and my last year would be higher.
Perfect.
So I will have to adjust for that development
Perfect.
while selecting my pattern.
Made one
So I
good
don't
point.
need any change in data.
Yeah, I made one good point as well initially, which was reported triangles, right? And that's also a valid answer.
Yeah.
If the reporting of claims is not impacted, you can always move to a reported claims triangle
Hmm.
potentially, provided that there are no
Right.
issues and provided that like there are no since it's a motor portfolio, it's not a long tail. I mean, a majority of the portion business is not long tail, so you can move to reported claims.
Correct.
Okay, next. Unusually, I see
No,
that.
so one question. So
Ah,
one question on this only. So
yeah,
I had lots of thoughts which I just spoke in while answering, but what exactly is it the examiners are looking in the answer? That is where actually the
diagonal,
most I get confused.
diagonal. They're looking for the diagonal. Diagonal is the answer they're looking for.
Acha, okay.
They're looking for
So I
you.
can so without giving any explanation, I can directly write that
Second
the
to last
entire
diagonal.
reporting in the diagonal. Okay.
Second to last diagonal is what they're looking for. That's the answer they're looking for.
Oh,
You can
okay.
give whatever fluff you want. The core of the answer is second to last diagonal will be impacted. Simple.
Correct.
Right? Adjustments have to be made to those diagonals. And additional brownie point is you can also move to reported triangles. Okay. Next. Unusually icy weather in the latest year causing an increase in the number of claims for damage to vehicles.
Okay.
So you have to nuance this question.
So yeah. So this so two things here. While obviously the loss ratio increased, but that does not mean that my development pattern has changed.
Okay.
So if my development pattern has not changed, then I don't need to do any adjustments.
Good.
But if my development pattern has changed, then I will have to maybe ignore this event for my normal projection and then make this event even by whatever method back again separately.
Good answer. Very good answer. You have to nuance it a little bit more because you are talking about unusually icy weather in the last year. You have to also look at timing, right? Did it occur in the beginning of the year or did it occur at the end of the year, right? If it occurred in the beginning of the year, your answer is right. If runoff is unchanged, there is no problem. If runoff is different, then you may have to remove extra claims. You have to create separate triangles, things like that. If it occurred at the end of the year, there will not be enough data for you to get any information. And you may have to make separate allowances for this particular case. Right? And that could be made based on historical such events, right? They might have happened historically. Say 3 years ago, it might have happened. And then you identify what the impact is and then make it. Clear? Always.
So actually, where I got confused was that since they have written that causing an increase in the number of claims, so I just assume that the claims have already flown in.
In the sense, you can make that assumption, but you have to state that assumption. So if you state that assumption, then you will get partial marks for sure.
Okay.
You can say that claims are already flown in, which basically means that you're assuming that it occurred in the beginning of the year and not at the end of the year.
Irrespective. So even if it's the end of the year and it has been reported. So
I'm saying, so
the very end of the year. So obviously last
if it's
2-3
at the end
days.
of the year, then there's a chance it will not get, a lot of claims will not get reported because this is icy weather.
Correct.
So there will be a reporting delay, right? It's not a CAT, it's an aggregation event. So you can write it. However, you get full marks if you think through scenarios. That's the challenge. But you are right. Your answer is right. It's not like your answer is wrong. Your answer is absolutely right. It's just that you only captured part of it. You can write the assumption and you will be right. It's a right answer. The challenge is for you to go from, say, let's say this is 4 marks. The challenge is for you to go from 2.5 to 4. That is the nuance that is there.
Right.
All right. Let's go to an easy question now. Let's go to a simple question, right? You have a triangle. You have number of losses. Just use basic chain ladder to get me ultimates by year. And tell me what the ultimate for, say, 2015 is or 2016 is. We'll compare it with what I have. Simple question. You will have to take a little bit of time to copy this into Excel. So I'll give you that time. So we are going to go from simple to hard to hardest to even more hardest.
Okay. Copied the triangle, just let me double check.
Sorry?
I've copied the triangle, just double checking it.
Ah,
I'm done.
cool. So what is your ultimate for, say, 2011?
It's the same 2100. The assumption is that the first year is completely run out.
Perfect. 2012?
Same 2756.
Perfect. 2013?
4205.33.
Perfect. Perfect. 2014?
4344.61.
Chalo, yeah. I'm not going to bother about 2015 and 16. It's the same answer that we're going to get, right? You use the same logic, right? Straightforward. Calculate the ATAFs, calculate the CDF, then obtain a final table and calculate the incurred, calculate the ultimate from the incurred. Clear? No questions
Yes.
around this. No discussion required. Next question,
Yes.
slightly more difficult than the previous question. You have reported claim numbers and number of household claims. Okay. I want you to
Okay.
use the ACPC method and I want you to calculate the ultimates. This is going to take a slightly longer this thing for you because you have to calculate, you have to copy two tables, but I think it'll be worth it.
I think I'm done.
Sorry, so idiotic of me. I've been speaking with the mute button on.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the broad steps. Tell me what steps that you followed. Like what was step one, step two, step three? Like give me like an overview of the steps.
So my step one was to first calculate an average cost triangle. So
Okay.
which is my first triangle divided by second triangle.
Okay, good.
Then I projected the average cost triangle separately and the count triangle separately.
Good. So tell me what
Uh,
your
Again,
okay.
the uh,
Tell me
assumptions for both.
sorry,
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 the
sorry.
assumption for both this triangle was that first year is completely run off.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, you were asking something. Yeah.
No, no, no. Go on, go on, go on. Finish your point, and then I'll come.
So then I got the ultimate average cost for each cohort, and I got ultimate claim count for each cohort, and multiplying both the sum, I got the ultimate claims cost for each cohort.
Okay. Good. Okay. All right. Good. Can you tell me what your ultimate claim count for 2016 was?
2016 ultimate claim count is 32.29.
No, no, claim count, not
Oh,
average.
sorry, claim count. Oh, sorry. It is 2263.05.
Okay, perfect. All right. Our answers are more or less aligned. I only made one difference in my answer. And the reason I made this was because this was the paper which I passed. So I specifically remembered, and I had added a small tail factor, and I made mention of that tail factor when I made it, right? So you are also right.
Okay.
I'm also right. There's no wrong answer here. As long as you state the answer saying that first cohort fully run off. So I made it because explicitly because if you notice, the first cohort is not fully run off, right? There
Agree.
is
Agree.
there is a little bit of release of reserves that are there in the first cohort, right? So the that was enough for me to kind of add a small tail factor towards the end of the this thing, and it's not like a major tail factor. I added like a what is that 1.0005 tail factor, right? So it does not affect the score materially, but I just mentioned that I have chosen this is a call that I took, right? And I did get marks
Okay.
for this, right? I did get marks for this. I called it out and I got marks for
Correct.
it. I think I got full marks for this mark if I not remember, if I don't recall it correctly. So yeah, you're broadly right. First step, calculate the ultimate claim numbers, use the same triangles, calculate the ATAFs, calculate the CDF, then tabulate the ultimate claim numbers. Step number two, calculate the average claim severity. Again, same format, calculate the ultimate claim severities from this, and then finally merge the results. What was your IBNR number?
My IBNR number is
Remember, the question asked for IBNR, not for ultimates.
yeah. I missed that actually, honestly.
So that is 1.5 marks.
Yeah.
Always remember that. Never forget that. It's very easy in the exam to miss.
Yeah. Simplest part. Yeah. After doing all this hard work.
You will, instead of getting 9 out of 9, you will get 7.5 out of 9. And then in the results, you'll be like, what the hell happened?
So for me, it is 96,000 and
Something,
28.
something is very off then. My answer was 109,529 and it was very close to the answer. Something is off somewhere. Okay. We have to figure out where it is off for you. Maybe average claims. Can you tell me what the average claims for 2017 is? Can you verify if this is the same table you have?
Just a moment. Ultimate average claims 31, 27, 32, 33, 39. The last three are different now.
That's interesting. Okay. Why?
That's what I'm trying to see.
Is your factor correct?
Yes.
Factor is correct.
So
How can the
factors are, just a minute. No, there are differences in factors. So last 0.98 is correct. Before that, mine is 1.05. Before that, 1.07. No, the factors are different.
okay.
So
So
yours are cumulative factors? Yours
yeah,
are cumulative, CDFs, right?
yeah, CDFs. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, sorry. Let me check ATF. So 0.98 is right. Before that, mine is 1.05. Yours is also similar, but slight difference in the decimal.
That is fine.
No, but why should ATAF be different? That's what I'm trying to.
You might have just taken the average of, so I have taken the average of the link ratios, but you might have just taken the average of this thing, no?
I've taken the average of amounts. Yeah.
I've calculated the link ratios and then I've taken the average of that. So there'll be a slight difference.
I think that's the only difference.
But 96 to 109, isn't that the big?
I don't see any other
What
formula
is your
difference or
ATF for
anything.
the first period?
First, you mean 14.
Ah,
0.987803.
no. I mean the first ATF for the 0 to 12 development period.
First lag, zeroth lag, no? So that is 1.57.
It's not very far off, yeah. And what is your CDF?
Yeah, so I've not calculated CDF directly. So I've just
Oh, you just completed the triangle.
completed the triangle, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. The same, I guess.
But
Yeah, I
easy
think
to
it's
calculate.
fair. No, I think it's fair. I think it's within the range of. I don't think what you have done is absolutely wrong, or I think what you have done is right only. It's maybe one recommendation I would give is stick to using link ratios. Make
Okay.
your life easier because it's easier to show the link ratios in the exam. So potentially, but you're not wrong. I'll say you're not wrong. I was just surprised with the deviance in the number, right? 96 to 109 is a big jump in my opinion. So
Yeah, it's a big gap. Yeah, it's a big gap.
so just wanted to.
And just a method change shouldn't have this much
Yeah,
of
that big of a
sensitivity.
change, right? It could go from 109 to 107, but 109 to 96.
Exactly. Yeah.
109 to 96 is a big number. So let's see. But I don't think your method is off. I feel your method is absolutely on spot. And of course, do
Or
not.
else, you have considered a tail as well. That's why your first ultimate is also different. Yeah.
Only the
Sorry,
first
yeah.
ultimate will be off by one claim.
0.05%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's off by one claim. All right. So of course, don't forget the main thing, which is to write the assumptions as well. So I've given the number of marks as well. So out of 9 marks, 1.5 marks go towards assumptions. So that's close to 20% of the mark.
Right.
So 20% of the marks you can directly get just by making assumptions.
Okay.
Clear? All right. We have 2 more questions to solve, and both of them are very challenging questions. And
Okay.
the next one is a very contentious question because I'll be frank, I found the assumptions difficult. And
Okay.
I know for a fact that a lot of students have found this assumption difficult because this was heavily discussed in the old acted forums. So it's not a straightforward question. It's very it's very convoluted, and even the examiner remarks for this question had like a note which said that a majority of students did not give an answer in any audit trail that was even like remotely correct. So this is a question which a lot of people have struggled, and just I'm just priming you for the question, right? So it's okay if you don't get this question. I'll be frank, very difficult question to get as well, right? So
Information is available in June 2017 on the number of your giveaway. So, I'm in particular, calculate the loss ratio by year on the 7-year basis. Then BX method, getting any assumptions you make and comment on the results. Okay, wow. Lots of complications, yeah.
yes, huge amount of complication.
Yes.
I'm surprised they even asked this question for like 9 marks or 8 marks or something.
It's too low, obviously. Right? 9 marks is nothing for this because
At least the first
lots
question
of
was
things to calculate. Oh, okay.
there is another trick in this question that many students will miss. And I'm hoping you will not miss it. There's another challenge that not many people will see.
That adds the pressure.
Yes. Many people will miss it altogether. I'm hoping you don't miss it.
Well, lots of things to calculate.
So give an overview of the approach that you use, no? So that let's make it a discussion, right? So give an overview of the approach. I will discuss the approach, and then you can use that approach to then discuss and calculate. So what is the first thing that you'll do?
The very first thing that they have asked us is that they need the loss ratio on an accident year basis.
Perfect.
Now, all the information, at least the premium related information that has been provided, is on the underwriting year basis.
Perfect.
So the very first thing that I will have to do is to calculate the accident year premiums.
Correct. That is one thing. Or another thing that you can do, which the exam report does, is calculate the underwriting year loss ratios and then convert it to accident year loss ratios.
Convert it to the accident year loss ratio.
Using some assumption, right? So that's one.
Correct. Correct.
More important, there is one more step before that you need to do. It is with respect to the CDFs. Right?
Yeah, I understood that part because the CDF were as at year end, but since now we are working on the half year,
correct.
So this CDFs needs adjustments.
That is the more important part. That is
that I understood. So that's why if I started with
so
premium.
I'll tell you one thing. That is the thing that I missed. I'll be frank with you. When I attempted this question, I missed that. Right. So I had to go back. I had to read the question once, twice, thrice, and then I kind of got the understanding of what you need to do. Right. So the first thing that you do is restate the CDFs, then calculate the underwriting year loss ratios, and then make adjustments to calculate the accident year loss ratios.
Correct.
Right. So give it a shot and let's reconnect and let's see what happens. Done?
Yeah, just a minute.
Sure. Take it. Shall we discuss?
Yeah, we can start. Still some confusion somewhere, yeah. But still, yeah, we can try.
Okay. Where is the confusion?
Yeah, so one was converting the CDFs.
Okay. So I think that I can add like clarity. The only place where there is confusion is around the assumptions that are taken in the last paper, which I think I'll be frank, it's a little off, right? So I don't think our exam solution will ever be matched when you're writing it in exam condition. So, okay, step one, get the percentage developed from the CDFs, right? Now,
Yeah,
the easiest way for you to get the new development factors is to interpolate. So
correct.
if it is 21.98% for the first year, make it 10.98% for 6 months. And take the average of 1 and 2, which is 21.98 plus 47.39 divided by 2, which is 34.69 for 1.5 years. And so on and so on and so forth. So you get the new CDFs by doing 1 divided by new development factors.
Okay.
Right? So you get 9.1, 2.88, 1.82, 1.45, 1.26, 1.15. And then you use this to calculate the ultimate and the underwriting year loss ratios, right? Which is as far as this is the exam schedule matches what I have done till this point, right? Now the challenge or
So
the
won't we need earned premiums?
underwriting year basis, no? So written premium is equal to earned premium.
No, but the latest year wouldn't have been.
Underwriting year basis. You're doing it on an underwriting year basis. So earned premium is, you're right that earned premium becomes the case when you're dealing it on an accident year basis, right? Where you have to look at how much has been earned and whatnot. But when you're calculating it on an underwriting year basis, you can just make an assumption and just do divided by written premium and get the loss ratio. Because this is,
Okay.
you're doing it on an underwriting year basis. That's the logic, right? So,
Right.
so calculate the loss ratios by underwriting year and then convert the underwriting year loss ratio to an accident year loss ratio, right? And that is where the assumptions come into play. The assumptions being what was the written premium in the 2011 year. You can say that it is the same as the written premium in the 2012 year. And then you can start making assumptions on ultimate loss ratios. There are assumptions on risk attachment basis. This thing there. They have made assumptions on 2017 year and things like that. There's a lot of assumptions that have been made. I have not made such assumptions, and hence my answer is very different to what the exam schedule says. I made very simple assumptions. I calculated the earned premium. I took the ultimate loss that is there that I already calculated, and I restated the loss ratios in the accidental basis. As simple as that. Like I kept it very simple. Very likely I would have lost 2 marks here, but I saved a lot of time. Clear?
Yes. So one more assumption, I think that in for 2011 you are assume same premium as 2010.
Correct.
Written premium.
That's the main assumption that I did. Yes, you're right. Do you have the, I think we are way past our time, but there is one more question that is there, and
Yep.
it's a much more challenging question. So do you want to spend time on it? Do you want to take a break, maybe spend time on it, say tomorrow or day after? How do you want to do this? Like we can meet for half an hour tomorrow also.
No, what we can also do is that we can see the question now. I am okay, and if you are okay, and maybe I'll not try, but we can discuss the approach.
Okay, sure. Not an issue. I would prefer, I don't mind doing this, but I would prefer you to work on the question. That basically it's a difficult question, right? So if you work on it, you kind of spend a lot of bandwidth on it, right? And when you discuss it, it becomes easier for you. So that is my preference. So if you want, we can.
Okay, so we can do that.
So if you want, we can meet for half an hour tomorrow and discuss only this one question, right? Because it will take that much time to discuss.
Yeah, fine with it. Fine with it.
Yeah, tomorrow half an hour. I will schedule the call and I will extend this and we will meet for half an hour tomorrow and we'll discuss this because I think we have solved quite a few things today, right? It's been a heavy session in my opinion, right? Because you have to crunch a lot of numbers, right? So let us do this. I initially thought let's keep it 2 hours today itself, but then it's already like, yeah, it's a little heavy. I can also see, it takes it's a lot of brain drain for everyone, right? So let me do this. I'll schedule a quick session tomorrow, half an hour. Let's discuss only that one question and then let's close it off. Okay.
So what's the question?
The question is actually an essay 3 level question. You want to see the question, or do you want to see it tomorrow, like with fresh eyes? It's up to you. Hello.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. I thought that you were saying that I need to do this question as an homework and then we can discuss it tomorrow.
No. See, either way works. If you want to do it as a homework and do it tomorrow works. If you want to do it live tomorrow and then we discuss the answer afterwards, that also works.
No, we can do it live. I would be better doing it with time limit rather than no time limit.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense to me, right? So I will not show you the question now because then, it kind of dilutes a little bit because you would have, I'm sure that you will think about it and then, like that, this thing. So exactly. It's a fun question. It's a fun question. I'll be very frank. It's a very fun question to think of, right? So let's do one thing. I will schedule a meeting tomorrow and we'll discuss only this one question. That's it. Half an hour.
Sure.
Okay. Alrighty then. I hope this session was informative. I hope
yes, very much.
Gives you like a good sense of where you stand with respect to writing exam level answers, right? So I felt I really liked structuring this. I'll be frank. I enjoyed going back to the old questions and and finding out fishing questions which are relevant, not relevant. And I did think I did think a lot about that Bonita Ferguson question because I didn't like I'll be frank. I did think I think for maybe 30 minutes I was thinking whether to include it or not include it, and then I figured let's include it and let's have a discussion because see those are the kind of questions which like you'll get a lot of heartburn when you see that question, right? So might as well get that heartburn right now, and then when you see it later, you will not be so stuck. So easier to get it done now than later.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, makes sense.
Chalo, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is the SP8 class as well, so I'll probably schedule it some time around then, and we can kind of finish it off then. Okay.
So actually, in the morning, anytime after 10:30 a.m. okay.
Okay.
Before 10:30 a.m. Yeah.
I'll figure it out. So I'll figure it. I'll figure the timings out a little bit, and we'll structure it.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Chalo. Bye.
Bye.